Grass and Fortnite. Now, what do these two things have in common? Well, both are very important to a particular type of Fortnite player. What is going on, guys? What up, is 4G. So today we are going to be going over the grass problem in Fortnite OG. Now, this is something that might sound absolutely ridiculous to a lot of people, but here's the thing. It's not, okay? This is a very important thing, and this makes for a very important part of Fortnite OG and the atmosphere that it's trying to go for and that it's trying to provide. It is supposed to be a one-to-one or as close to possible recreation of Fortnite OG, the actual Fortnite OG, Chapter 1, 2018, whatever you want to say. So when something like the grass is out of place and different, I can tell you people like myself will notice. Now, originally, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't notice this, but now actually seeing it side by side, I am bothered, all right? This is something that has to be changed. And while this does sound a little sarcastic, it's not. Because if you actually look at Twitter, you search Fortnite grass, you will see a lot of people talking about this. This is something that people in the Fortnite community really want to be changed. Now, what is the problem here? What is the actual issue with it, with the Fortnite OG grass? Well, pretty much, it's the Chapter 5 grass, not the actual Chapter 1 grass.
Look at this lawn. This is one sweet patch.
Now, you can make a lot of jokes about how people should touch grass because this is such a stupid issue or whatever you want to say, but I think it's pretty stupid that it was changed in the first place, okay? This is supposed to be a one-to-one recreation of the original Chapter 1 Fortnite. Why are we using Chapter 5, the worst chapter ever? Why are we using the Chapter 5 grass? So, this is something that was actually changed, I believe, at the end of Chapter 1, Season 1, or is it at the beginning of Season 2? I'm not exactly sure, but at some point, they actually did, in fact, change it to the Chapter 5 grass, and nobody really knows why other than the fact that Epic Games loves to change the art style of this game, even in the original version of the game. I don't know why. I think they are even changing it in Reload. I swear, maybe I'm crazy, but I looked back at Fortnite Reload gameplay from last year when Fortnite Reload first came out, and it looks way more like Chapter 1 than it does now. I go into it now, and it kind of gives me Chapter 5 vibes as well. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, at least when it comes to Fortnite Reload. Maybe they're trying to make that seem more like modern Fortnite or trying to bridge the gap between OG Fortnite and modern Fortnite. I don't really like that. Can we just have an OG mode, and maybe if you have a different map, for an example, like down the road for Fortnite Reload that has like a, I don't know, a Chapter 5 POI type map, maybe then you make it look like Chapter 5, but can we just keep the Chapter 1 looking maps authentic to Chapter 1? I don't know. Maybe they didn't change anything, and like I said, I'm crazy, but going back to the Chapter 1 map, I think that this is absolutely something that needs to be changed. This is something that you see the entire time you are going throughout the map, okay? So if you are constantly being reminded that this is not actually 2018, well then my immersion is being destroyed here, alright? This is supposed to be a nostalgic throwback. We're supposed to be feeling and being immersed into a virtual world that feels like we are somehow still in 2018 or 2017, if somehow that was the particular part of Fortnite that you preferred, but I just don't think so. I think most people prefer 2018 Fortnite if we're talking about OG Fortnite, because Chapter 1 Season 1 and Chapter 1 Season 2 were pretty boring, if we're being completely real, and that's why I'm glad we are now in Season 3. I love Season 1 and Season 2 for their own sake. Well, not so much Season 1 if I'm being real. Not a huge fan of that. I'm glad we're out of that and we're now getting into the good seasons now. Season 2 was a lot better, but in the beginning it was very boring in the original version of it. OG, of course, had all the map changes already. But either way, the point is, this needs to be changed, in my opinion. It is now Chapter 1 Season 3, and they still have yet to do anything about it. They actually acknowledged it. They acknowledged it and said that this would be fixed in the future, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that because it does not seem like it's fixed yet. And I'm sure they got a lot of work backed up, and maybe they'll get to it eventually, and they just haven't done it yet, but they haven't given us an update or anything like that. And that kind of reminds me of also something else that's OG, the OG Renegade Raider skin style. This is something that has been in the files for months, and they still have yet to release it. Maybe that'll happen sometime soon because they actually did recently get the Raider's Revenge and the Aerial Assault Trooper glider. They had the OG style for that added to the files with the most recent update, so maybe they were just waiting to finish all of that. I don't exactly know, but the point is, Epic Games seemingly is pretty busy with all of this different stuff, and I just hope that maybe it's something that is a little bit more challenging than they originally thought to get actual Chapter 1 grass into the game. And again, this sounds so ridiculous, but I remember when Chapter 2 came out, the grass just looked like a coloring book. It was like bright green, and the skybox was just a weird color of blue. Like, I don't know how to explain it, alright? It just didn't feel like Fortnite. This all sounds ridiculous. This is all some first world problems. I agree, but at the end of the day, we're talking about Fortnite, okay? So if we're going to be talking about Fortnite Fortnite, let's talk about the problems that Fortnite could potentially have. Because here's the thing, once they fix these types of problems, these small problems, or they seem like small problems from the outside perspective, aka from us, the players, but once they fix these, every future season and every time we go through the cycle of going through each season again will be even better than previously at this point. I think when it comes to the actual rest of the art style, a lot of people have talked about how it's not completely one-to-one as the original game. If that's on purpose, I think they should change it, but if it is something that they are actually actively trying to do, and I don't know, they just didn't perfectly match it, well then maybe they can work on that over time, but I don't think it's the biggest deal because looking back on it, it does look quite similar, except for Season 3. I think right now with Season 3, it doesn't look as close to the original Season 3. I mean, just look at this. This art style right here. It's close to this. It is, okay, it is, but it's not exactly like this. I'm hoping that they make it look like this at some point. Once the meteor is in the sky, we can see it look like this. Something about this just looks absolutely amazing. It just reminds me of springtime because that's when Chapter 1 Season 3 came out. And again, that is the point. That is the point. This is all supposed to be nostalgic going back. So while me complaining about Chapter 2 grass looking terrible might not have been the biggest deal, I think this is a big deal because this is something that's supposed to go on for a long time and it's supposed to be a replayable mode if you just want to play OG while it's available. As far as I'm aware, that's what I'm getting from it. It's something that we're going to go through. It's going to cycle through. Once you get past Season 10, it goes back to Season 1 and it'll go on and on and on as long as Fortnite's around. That's what I'm getting from it. Maybe they'll have a new OG pass every single time. Maybe eventually they'll release the actual battle passes just because I don't exactly know, but I do know that this type of thing is more important to the experience and the feeling of Fortnite OG than a lot of people who might not have played back then actually realize. Not only that, but it would actually still be nice. Like, I'm kind of throwing this one out the window because I know that they just want the entire game to be basically unified in the same idea, the same feeling, but I would love to still see the movement, man. The movement animations, I don't understand why it matters. They changed the model of the hand cannon, they changed the model of the scar, the pump, all of these different things, but they didn't change the movement animations. The movement animations are a massive downgrade. Yes, a lot of people, including myself at this point, are kind of used to it, but there's something about it still that still takes me out of that feeling of Fortnite OG, and it's just unfortunate because looking back at old gameplay, even just old gameplay on my channel, it just makes me kind of sad. Seeing that same movement, seeing that same feeling of the game, it'll never happen as long as they purposely hold off on certain changes just for the sake that they want the rest of the game to be similar enough to it. I don't exactly know why. This is supposed to be an original mode. I don't understand. Even in Season OG, we had the original animations while sprinting and running, and it felt great. It was amazing. It was fantastic. There was nothing wrong with it. It added the additional movement. So yes, okay, I guess sure. I'm still saying that they should add the extra sprint and the sliding and everything. I still think that all of that is completely fine because it does in fact improve the game, but changing up the animations of the movement and everything is just going a step too far. But I've kind of accepted the fact that they probably won't change that at this point, which is unfortunate. Maybe they change their mind down the road. That would be nice. But regardless, for now, could we please just get the original grass? Because like I said, Chapter 5, in my opinion at least, was the worst looking and the worst chapter in general, and I definitely do not want my amazing, beautiful Chapter 1 map to try and resemble anything like the Chapter 5 map. That's just my personal opinion there. That is absolutely my least favorite map out of every chapter that they've ever made. Actually, it's the only one I dislike, for being completely real. Every other one has its perks. But anyways, yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that Fortnite OG needs to get its original grass back, or do you think that this is a big overreaction from the community and we should all just actually touch grass in real life? But anyways, that's gonna wrap up this video. If you guys enjoyed it, like, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're new here and like videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.